warm welcome to South Asia Today, where we bring you in-depth insights into the key events shaping South Asia. I am Pratiksha Mishra and here are today's top stories. Women leading India's grassroots transformation. Healthcare in Ladakh enters a new era of accessibility and modernization. And rising sectarian strife fuels unrest across Pakistan-occupied Gilgit-Baltistan. Let's begin the show. Across India, women are reshaping empowerment, driving livelihoods, innovation, and inclusive growth. From mobility services in Jammu and Kashmir to government-backed initiatives supporting women in agriculture and entrepreneurship in Gujarat, women-led ventures are creating opportunities, uplifting families, and strengthening communities. These inspiring journeys prove how determination, enterprise, and public support are helping women lead change from the grassroots. Across India, women are emerging as powerful agents of change, uplifting households, energizing local economies, and strengthening communities. Through entrepreneurship, skills, and leadership, women-led initiatives are reshaping India's development story from the grassroots. One such change maker is Sadia Bhatt from Srinagar, who has launched a cab service in the valley that champions self-mobility and inclusive employment. With over 1,000 drivers on board and a user-friendly booking app offering affordable, comfortable travel, her venture is transforming everyday mobility. Beyond business, Sadia's mission is clear: to encourage greater participation of women in Jammu and Kashmir's mobility sector.
यहाँ पे एक चीज़ है, आपको जो ऐप पे दिखाएगा आपको वही पे करना है। और दूसरी बात इसमें है, अब लोग सोचेंगे कि ऐप पे हमें जो दिखाएगा, मतलब अल्लाह ताला बचे किसी को शाम को इमरजेंसी होती है, वो कस्टमर सोचेगा मैं तो ऐप पे डाउनलोड करें। किसी को ऐप डाउनलोड नहीं करनी आती है, वो जो दिए हमारे मतलब जो हमारे ये कंपनी के कॉन्टेक्ट नंबर उन पे भी कॉल कर सकते हैं। वो अब लोगों को ये लगेगा कि हमें जो वहाँ पे ऐप पे दिखाएगा, जो मैं शाम की बात कर रही हूँ, उस टाइम ये नहीं होगा कि बिजनेस, उस टाइम हमारा मकसद होगा पेशेंट को बचाना, पेशेंट को हॉस्पिटल पहुंचाना।
Another inspiring story is that of Pooja Devi, who runs a small restaurant in a border village of Kathua district. Inspired by Prime Minister Narendra Modi's call to promote millets, she has created a path of self-employment, serving healthy millet-based meals to hundreds each day. With a 50% subsidy from the Agriculture Department, Pooja has turned her initiative into a sustainable livelihood.
जम्मू कश्मीर में हमारा ये पहला रेस्टोरेंट खुला हुआ जो हम जिस चीज़ पे हम काम कर रहे हैं, तो बहुत सारे लोग खुश हैं, जो खा के जाते हैं वो दोबारा आ रहे हैं, ऐसी बात नहीं है। तो सर ये हमें कम से कम रोज़ की मतलब 7-8 हज़ार सेल हो जाती है, तो जिसमें थोड़ा बहुत हमें प्रॉफिट भी हो जाता है। मैं घर का खर्चा भी चला रही हूँ सारा।
Meet Saguna Bain, a differently abled farmer from Isarama village in Gujarat's Anand district, who refused to let disability define her. With government support, she shifted from chemical to natural farming and found a new identity. Today, turmeric is her brand. Cultivating 3 bighas of land, she earns an annual profit of 5,500 to 6,500 USD, supporting her family independently. Now self-reliant Saguna Bain also guides and motivates other women in her village.
પ્રાકૃતિક ખેતી કરું છું, એમાં તો મને સરકાર તરફથી બહુ સહાય મળી છે અને એમાં હું પણ કહું છું કે બીજી બહેનો પણ મારા જેવી આગળ જાય અને એમનો પણ હું ખૂબ ધન્યવાદ માનીશ કે જેમને મને સરકાર તરફથી આ બધી પ્રોત્સાહન મને મળે છે કે જેથી હું આગળ અહીં સુધી પહોંચી છું।
પ્રાકૃતિક કૃષિ ચાલુ કરે એટલે એનો ખેતી ખર્ચ ઘટી જાય। રાસાયણિક ખાતર ને દવાઓ મોંઘા બહુ હોય છે। પહેલું તો એ થાય, પછી આપણી આ જમીનનું સ્વાસ્થ્ય સુધરે। પણ એ જમીનની અંદર એમને આ જીવામૃત ને ઘન જીવામૃત આપણો એનો ઉપયોગ કર્યો અને અત્યારે એમની જમીન એટલી પાવરફુલ 5 વર્ષથી થઈ ગઈ।
From agriculture to entrepreneurship, state and central government initiatives are enabling women to step into leadership roles through schemes like the Lakhpati Didi Yojana and agricultural support programs. Shraddha Sorathia from Sajadiali village in Gujarat's Rajkot district is a striking example. Linked to a self-help group, she has become the first women drone professional in her area under the Lakhpati Didi and Drone Didi initiatives. In just a few months, Shraddha has delivered drone-based agricultural services and now earns over $11,000 USD annually, showcasing how timely government support can transform lives.
બહુ મને સારું લાગેલું કે મને આવો મોકો તો ક્યારેય મળે નહીં, પણ સારું છે મળી ગયેલો છે, કેમ કે હું સારી એવી આવક કરી શકું છું. મારી વાર્ષિક આવક તો 13 થી 14 લાખ રૂપિયા છે, તેથી મને લખપતિ દીદી બનાવવામાં આવી છે અને અમને 500 રૂપિયા મળે છે એકરના અને ખેડૂતોનો બહુ સારો એવો રિસ્પોન્સ છે.
Today, women are excelling across every field, emerging as equal partners in India's progress. By expanding access to skills, resources and opportunities, government initiatives are empowering women to achieve financial independence, strengthen communities and drive inclusive, sustainable growth. Moving on. Nepal is heading toward a crucial early parliamentary election on March 5th, months ahead of schedule after a turbulent political year that reshaped the country's democratic landscape. While India has stepped up logistical assistance to ensure smooth polling, the streets of Kathmandu are simultaneously witnessing a renewed show of strength by pro-monarchy groups demanding restoration of the crown. Our special report looks at Nepal's election preparations, India-Nepal cooperation and the political undercurrents challenging the Himalayan Republic.
Kathmandu has shifted into full election mode. Security forces are mobilizing, polling logistics are being mapped across mountainous terrain, and electoral authorities are racing to ensure nationwide preparedness. In a significant show of bilateral cooperation, India has handed over the third tranche of election-related assistance to Nepal. The consignment ceremonially presented by the Indian ambassador to Nepal to the Ministry of Home Affairs includes more than 270 vehicles and logistical supplies. Among them are 50 trucks for the Nepali army, along with transport vehicles and equipment for police and election officials. This follows 2 earlier deliveries in January. Nepalese officials say the vehicles will be deployed to transport polling teams, secure sensitive districts and maintain order in remote mountainous regions where difficult terrain often complicates access during elections.
भारत सरकारबाट नेपाल सरकारलाई यो जुन आगामी आम निर्वाचनलाई हुने सपोर्टको सन्दर्भमा आज हामी तेस्रो लटको चाहिँ गाडी हस्तान्तरणको कार्यक्रम सम्पन्न भएको छ। अहिलेसम्म पहिलो लटमा 61 वटा, दोस्रो लटमा 254 वटा र आजको लटमा 223 वटा गाडीहरू चाहिँ ह्यान्डओभर भएको छ भने सँगसँगै आज नेपाली सेनाको लागि 50 वटा गाडीहरू चाहिँ हस्तान्तरण भएको अवस्था छ र कतिपय भारत सरकारले नेपाल सरकारलाई अनुदान स्वरूप उपलब्ध गराउने यो प्रहरीका सामग्रीहरू चाहिँ कतिपय आइसकेको र कतिपय आउने क्रममा छन्।
The assistance comes at a politically sensitive moment. India has historically supported Nepal during elections, disaster response, and infrastructure projects, part of what both sides describe as a multi-sector development partnership. But this election was not due until 2027. Political instability last year triggered a dramatic shift. Mass youth-led protests, widely described as a Gen Z uprising, erupted over corruption allegations, governance failures, and economic frustration. The unrest led to security crackdowns, casualties, and deep political fractures within ruling coalitions. Ultimately, Parliament was dissolved, forcing early elections. The March 5 vote is now being framed domestically as a referendum on governance credibility and internationally as a test of democratic resilience in a strategically sensitive Himalayan state, sandwiched between India and China. Even as election preparations intensify, a parallel political narrative is gaining momentum: the call for the restoration of monarchy. Hundreds of supporters gathered in Kathmandu to welcome former King Gyanendra Shah, chanting slogans demanding the return of the crown. Backers from the right-wing Rashtriya Prajatantra Party and allied monarchist groups turned the airport reception into a political show of strength, disrupting traffic and signaling renewed mobilization.
यति बेला हाम्रो यो चुनाव हुनु खोज्नु भनेको र अनि राजतन्त्र समर्थकहरूको यो जनसहभागिता अभिवृद्धि हुनु भने यो जुन दुईटा छ नि, यो दुईटा कित्ताको बीचको लडाई हो। यो एउटा देश बचाउने कित्ता हो, एउटा देश बेच्न खोज्ने कित्ता हो। एउटा विदेशी शक्ति केन्द्रबाट बिगिसकेको कित्ता छ, एउटा कित्ता भनेको देश बचाउनलाई लागि परेको सार्वभौमसत्ताको खम्बा राष्ट्रसत्ता पुनर्स्थापना गर्नुपर्छ भन्ने पक्षमा जोड दिइरहेछ।
Nepal abolished its 240-year-old monarchy in 2006 following a mass movement that ended royal rule and formally established a federal democratic republic. Former King Gyanendra has not formally entered electoral politics. However, his symbolic presence ahead of the polls reflects dissatisfaction among sections of the electorate, disillusioned with years of unstable coalition governments. The Rashtriya Prajatantra Party, historically aligned with monarchy and Hindu statehood, is contesting the election with hopes of expanding its parliamentary footprint. Heavy deployment of police and army personnel is expected across sensitive districts, many operating with vehicles provided under the India Assistance Program. For Nepal, March 5 is more than an early election. It is a test of democratic stability, institutional credibility, and the future direction of a republic still negotiating its post-monarchy identity.
Now we take a look at some happenings in Asia in our segment called Asia Watch.
In Bengaluru, India's Defence Minister Rajnath Singh and his French counterpart Catherine Vautrin held the annual India-France Defence Dialogue, reaffirming strategic cooperation and extending the defence agreement for another decade. Both sides announced a joint venture between Bharat Electronics Limited and Safran to co-develop and manufacture Hammer missiles in India under Make in India. The partnership also includes an H-125 helicopter assembly line involving Airbus and Tata Advanced Systems. During the visit of French President Emmanuel Macron, who met Prime Minister Narendra Modi in Mumbai, both nations emphasized defense cooperation as central to Indo-Pacific stability. In Basra, the ARG steel factory is transforming scrap metal, including damaged military vehicles, into reinforcement bars for construction, boosting Iraq's domestic steel supply. Workers cut and melt mixed civilian and military debris before rolling it into billets and rebars. Factory director Ahmad Abdul Latif said the plant requires about 2,000 tons of scrap daily, but currently receives nearly half due to competition from over 22 steel plants nationwide. The facility produces roughly 600,000 tons annually. Officials say recycling has reduced reliance on imported steel, though Iraq still imports large quantities to meet demand exceeding 10 million tons yearly amid expanding infrastructure and housing projects across the country. Bangladesh Nationalist Party leader Tariq Rahman was sworn in as Prime Minister by President Mohammad Shahabuddin in Dhaka on February 17, marking a major political transition in Bangladesh. Rahman, son of former Premier Khaleda Zia and late President Ziaur Rahman, assumed office after BNP's sweeping electoral victory. He pledged to uphold the constitution and serve citizens without bias. He now faces pressing challenges including restoring stability, reviving investor confidence and rebuilding industries, particularly garments, following the unrest that toppled Sheikh Hasina's government in 2024. A transitional administration led by Muhammad Yunus had overseen governance before elections.
Shia worshippers were targeted yet again as a bomb tore through a mosque, exposing the persistent vulnerability of the community in Pakistan. In Pakistan-occupied Gilgit-Baltistan, where Shias form the majority, the attack has triggered fierce protest and painful memories of past massacres. Demonstrators say this is not an isolated tragedy, but part of a continuing pattern of violence, impunity, and systemic neglect that has left an entire community feeling besieged and unheard. We have a report.
In Pakistan-occupied Gilgit-Baltistan, anger is spilling onto the streets as members of the Shia community protest over what they describe as years of unchecked repression. From targeted attacks on places of worship to failure to hold perpetrators accountable, many believe a pattern of discrimination and insecurity has taken root. The latest bombing on a Shia mosque in Islamabad has only deepened fears, reinforcing concerns over the safety of religious minorities under Pakistan's rule. The Shia community is in majority in POGB. However, they continue to feel vulnerable, marginalized, and unheard under the existing system.
18 जनाजे कोहिस्तान से आए, 16 जनाजे लालूसर से आए, 10 जनाजे चिलास से आए, 4 जनाजे मनावर से आए। उसी 2012 में 5 जनाजे यूनिवर्सिटी में यौम हुसैन मनाते हुए शहीद किए गए। आज तक कोई कातिल नहीं पकड़ा गया। कहीं पे किसी आलिम को शहीद किया जाता था, कहीं पे किसी ब्यूरोक्रेट को शहीद किया जाता था, कहीं पे किसी सियासतदान को शहीद किया जाता था या किसी शख्सियत को कत्ल किया जाता था। लेकिन 80 के दहाई के बाद इज्तिमाई तौर पे शियान अली इब्न अबी तालिब के खून बहाना शुरू हुआ है। नस्ल कुशी के इरादे से शियान अली इब्न अबी तालिब को पाकिस्तान के वजूद से मिटाने के लिए बाकायदा इज्तिमाई तौर पे खून खराबा हुआ है।
In Pakistan-occupied Gilgit-Baltistan, memories of past atrocities remain painfully alive. From coordinated attacks in the late 1980s to repeated targeted killings over the years, many families still await justice. Protesters say the wounds have never healed because accountability never followed. They state that successive administrations failed to protect lives, rebuild trust, or address deep-rooted grievances. Even today, insecurity, neglect, and political silence continue to define daily life, leaving communities feeling abandoned and unprotected.
फिर 1988 में गिलगित बल्तिस्तान को निशाना बनाया गया। बगैर किसी जवाब के, बगैर किसी इश्तिहाल अंगेजी के हजारों अफराद पे दहशतगर्दों का लश्कर गिलगित बल्तिस्तान की तरफ रवाना किया गया। 500 किलोमीटर का फासला तय करके ये गिलगित बल्तिस्तान के ऊपर हमलावर हुए। दरमियान में कोई रोक टोक नहीं हुई। इतनी सारी चेक पोस्टें होने के बावजूद, गोंजे में पूरा मुसल्लह अफवाज का क्वार्टर होने के बावजूद, जिगलोट के अंदर मुसल्लह अफवाज की यूनिटें होने के बावजूद इनको फ्री हैंड दिया गया।
What began as targeted violence has now deepened into a larger crisis of religious suppression and systemic neglect. In POGB, communities say they are not only struggling for security but also for dignity and equal rights. Alongside fears of sectarian targeting, the region continues to face weak infrastructure, limited healthcare, poor connectivity, and shrinking economic opportunities. Protesters argue that without genuine political will, accountability, and development, the cycle of marginalization will only intensify, leaving an entire generation trapped between insecurity and deprivation.
Since attaining Union Territory status, Ladakh's healthcare sector has witnessed a remarkable transformation. With focused investments in tertiary care facilities, digital health services, and specialized medical infrastructure, the region is steadily overcoming its harsh terrain and high-altitude challenges. From advanced treatment option to improved connectivity in remote areas, healthcare delivery in Ladakh is becoming more accessible, modern, and responsive to the needs of its people. Have a look. Medical facilities in Ladakh are entering a new era of transformation, reflecting a strong commitment to strengthening medical services in one of India's most challenging terrains. Hospitals are now equipped with advanced technologies such as MRI machines, expanded primary care facilities, and increased ICU capacity, significantly enhancing diagnostic and critical care services. These upgrades are transforming healthcare delivery across the region, ensuring that people living in remote, hilly, and border areas are no longer deprived of world-class diagnostic and treatment facilities despite the harsh geographical and climatic conditions.
स्टाफ भी अच्छा है, डॉक्टर भी अच्छे हैं, सब भी बढ़िया है यहाँ पे और साफ सफाई भी बढ़िया है, सबके साथ अच्छा बिहेव करते हैं।
The installation of advanced diagnostic technology stands as a testament to the government's commitment to delivering equitable and quality healthcare in Ladakh. By making these facilities available at district-level hospitals, a major burden has been lifted from patients and their families who earlier had to travel long distances for specialized tests. These hospitals are now playing a pivotal role in providing seamless and timely care. Alongside serving local residents, dedicated efforts are also underway to extend efficient medical support to domestic and international tourists visiting the region.
टूरिस्ट के लिए ये है कि हमने अभी रिसेंटली अक्टूबर में यहाँ पे कंप्लीशन हुआ है कि प्री फैब्रिकेटेड एक हमने टूरिस्ट वार्ड बनाया है, वो अभी 20 बेडेड है और वो जितने भी टूरिस्ट यहाँ आएंगे उनके लिए वो मिनिमल एक चार्ज लेती है जो 10 रुपीज़ का एक ओपीडी स्लिप का फीस और 300 हम एक्स्ट्रा फाइल जो एडमिशन होते हैं वो, उसके बाद जितने भी मेडिसिन हो, ऑक्सीजन और जितने टाइम तक वो लोग यहाँ पे एडमिटेड है वो फ्री ऑफ कॉस्ट हैं। सेकेंडली हमारे पास हाइपरबैरिक चैम्बर है यहाँ पे, जिनको बहुत ज़्यादा सीरियस जब हाई ऑल्टीट्यूड पल्मोनरी एडिमा या सेरेब्रल एडिमा होता है तो उनको हम हाइपरबैरिक चैम्बर में रखते हैं। तो हाइपरबैरिक चैम्बर जो है वो डिस्ट्रिक्ट हॉस्पिटल में ही है, तो हम इसका फ़ायदा हम पैरामिलिट्री को भी देते हैं, आर्मी को भी देते हैं, जिनको फ्रोज बाइट होके बॉर्डर से जो लाते हैं CHN से, तो उनको भी यहाँ पे हम वो एक स्लॉट हम आर्मी को भी रखते हैं यहाँ पे। तो उस हिसाब से देखा जाए, चाहे टूरिस्ट हो, लेबर ग्रुप हो, कोई भी लो ऑल्टीट्यूड के लोग हैं जो यहाँ आके हाई ऑल्टीट्यूड प्रॉब्लम्स होते हैं, तो उनको हम अच्छे से यहाँ पे केयर करते हैं और साथ में फ्री ऑफ कॉस्ट है।
Ladakh has seen sustained progress in strengthening its healthcare system with targeted investments addressing its distinct geographical and climatic constraints. Upgraded infrastructure, improved facilities, and expanding medical services reflect this steady advancement across the region. Building on this progress, the Union government has proposed an allocation of Rs 4,869.31 crore for the financial year 2026-27, a significant step aimed at further enhancing medical infrastructure and ensuring accessible, efficient, and high-quality healthcare for all residents of the Union Territory. As we wrap up today's episode of South Asia Today, We thank you for joining us. We will return next week at the same time with more insights and updates. This is Pratiksha Mishra signing off on behalf of our entire team. Until then, stay safe and goodbye.